Hello, horror fans. It is me, Inkarnate, your horror host, and this is one that, oh man, I have been waiting for quite some time, that I am very excited about, and very excited to be sharing with all of you fine folks. So, it just so happens that this is Christmas Day, and what do we have on tap for all of? Just one second, just taking care of the audio. Okay, so boy, I mean, it's very appropriate that this movie is coming out here at the end of the year, just because, I mean, holy crap, when you really think about it, I mean, I'm gonna get to the timing of this movie shortly. However, a clever little icebreaker that I try to use to get engagement up on my watch parties is something that I affectionately refer to as the totem pole. I do that in order to gauge the film impressions or expectations for those who happen to be joining me on the watch party. Again, I affectionately refer to it as the totem pole. So the options typically include bottom of the barrel, shallow grave, as well as high stakes. Now, again, I usually do this for my watch parties, but I specifically wanted to mention it here just because, for me, what this film represents is a raising of the stakes. Pun very much intended. This movie, Nosferatu, that I will be watching shortly, I mean, man, to me, this is pinnacle horror. And I absolutely cannot wait to watch this. But before I do, I wanted to give my film a preview beforehand. And the fact that this movie is reaching for something, that the fact that this movie is attempting to bring quality to the theater, quality to its source material, quality to the genre, for one, I like that. I like when the genre raises the bar. I like when horror strives for standards. I like when my movies within fear fiction bring their A game and deliver the goods. And I think that that's what we're on tap for tonight. I think that anyone who is spending their holiday, obviously opening up gifts, sharing it with loved ones, but absolutely going to the theater to watch this movie, I think that the marketing, the talent, the word of mouth already. This movie just came out, and the word of mouth has been out, I want to say, in excess of a month. This goes back to the holiday season that kickstarted the holiday season for 2024, and I'm talking way back to Thanksgiving of this year. Everything has been just going well for this movie, and I'm happy for it. I'm happy that this is the movie that's getting people talking. And to be honest, what did I mention before about the timing? It's not just that this is the last movie or the last horror movie of the year. Oh man, guys, 2024 has been one L for the genre. I mean, my God, The First Omen, The Strangers Chapter 1, Alien Romulus, oh no! The Blumhouse movie Imaginary, Sony Pictures Tarot, Salem's Lot, oof, The Beast Within, Abigail, oh God, oh my God, I bet you even forgot that those two horror movies came out this year for vampires, Salem's Lot remake and Abigail. The 2024 needs Nosferatu. It needs for it to deliver because, my God. Look, I haven't seen Longlegs yet, and I enjoyed Beetlejuice, but God almighty, come on, really? Look at the names that I just mentioned. Now, as far as this movie's concerned, what this movie seems poised to do is remind us how good horror was, what great horror can be Ironically enough, by resurrecting arguably the first great horror film that defined the genre with the addition of modern techniques and cinematography. I personally am a sucker for gothic tropes. Medieval castles, haunting church organ music scores, drawbridges, cemeteries, full moons, misty forests, dark and stormy nights. I am all for it. I'm all about it. Considering the wealth of movies we've enjoyed during the days of the Universal monsters, there's something refreshing about a return to the silent era of cinema that preceded horror's popularity even before the days of Bride of Frankenstein, The Invisible Man, and Creature from the Black Lagoon. Now, I would like to discuss the talent that we have on tap, both behind the camera and in front. Firstly, the filmmaker, the person helming this. Director Robert Eggers, I mean, for me, he didn't take on this endeavor to capitalize on a film, a franchise, or a fad, but rather assumed the Herculean task of adapting this classic horror movie because it was a passion project. Seriously, how many times has there been some remake that seems like studio mandated, or you just get the distinct impression that a particular film production house is just rummaging through their the list of titles that they happen to have ownership of, and decide to just come out with a soulless rehashing. That's not what this is, and I think that anyone and everyone can see that. This was something near and dear to director Robert Eggers' heart, and he was confident in his own vision and talents to step up to the plate. And I've seen what he's brought to films like The Northman from 2 years ago, The Witch from 2016, and I think he's got the skill, the reverence for the source material, and the zeal to reimagine this landmark film. And like, man, that's how it used to be, right? It used to be that somebody has a great idea or is passionate about a particular film, and they go to the theater now, or they go to the studio because they want to do their pitch. Nowadays, it's the opposite, where basically the studio does a casting call for a director, and someone basically is not allowed to give their vision and is just doing a project, doing a remake because they're paid to. It's not because they themselves have a unique take on it. I firmly believe, now let's get to the talent on screen. I firmly believe that Bill Skarsgård is looking at this as his second horror icon that he will have redefined as a modern marvel and as an instant classic after having portrayed Pennywise in It Chapter 1 from 2017. I think he's going to bring that same level of subtle intensity for yet another haunting performance. They've done a good job in the marketing of not showing the monster, which, oh man, don't we hate trailers for doing that? Don't we hate marketing for showing us the best scenes of the movie, spoiling what should have been hidden, or showing us the monster too preemptively or too much? But hey, shout out to them for having had the foresight to keep all of that under wraps. As far as the rest of the ensemble, I'm eagerly anticipating what the cast of characters will bring in order to elevate the material, from the damsel in distress under Count Orlok's spell to the lunatic Ernok playing the Prophet of Doom who warns of the coming threat. From seasoned veterans like Willem Dafoe and Ralph Ineson to the younger cast like Nicholas Hoult and Aaron Taylor Johnson. I'm really looking forward to all of their performances and how it is that they will portray the aspects of the horror in the film. And that is key because that affects the mood. Whenever you have the horror that stems from your characters, their portrayal of the unsettling revelations that they discover, how they react to the monster, and their unknowingness, the mystery over how it is to deal with this threat. That's very pivotal for your cast if you're smart enough to realize that. And speaking of reaction, I look forward, and I believe I mentioned this in my trailer gut reaction to Nosferatu, I look forward to the reaction to the movie's monster by the separate classes depicted in the trailer. I'm referring to the villagers, the clergy, and the aristocracy. It's going to be thought-provoking to see how different members of society treat this invasion of the old world into their modern culture. The high-class socialites who are taken completely off guard by this gothic menace. The priesthood who recognize this terror as something unholy, but aren't quite sure how to address and combat it. And then there's the peasantry, the superstitious backwoods farmers that know exactly what they're dealing with and how to deal with it. This movie carries with it the expectation of redeeming the vampire subgenre and carrying the horror film class across the finish line for the year 2024. Folks, opportunities like this don't come around every day. Now, considering the array of talent both behind and in front of the camera, taking into account the name brand recognition of the subject matter, the reception from everything about this movie, from its trailer to early screen reactions, the legacy of the title character's legend, there's a lot riding on this one, and I think it's not just poised to deliver, but I think we've got another modern classic in the making. And if you know me, you know I do not dabble in hyperbole, and I don't say things like that often. In fact, what you've heard out of me is that, like clockwork, we are lucky if we get one film per year that delivers in the horror genre. I've listed some of my favorites in the past, which happen to be, I'll rattle off some very quickly. Antlers, I believe from 2021. Evil Dead Rise from last year. I genuinely think that Nosferatu is poised to take the #1 spot of the best horror film of 2024. But again, redeem vampire movies, because both that subgenre and the year 2024 for horror really need for this movie to deliver. And again, I don't do wishful thinking. I think it's problematic when people need a movie to be good instead of just wanting it to. It kind of it colors their perception, you know what I mean? But everything that I've seen of this movie, everything that I've heard, the buzz around it, and believe me, it's always a great thing whenever there's buzz around a horror movie, whenever there's that free marketing, and whenever people are actually invested and are excited to see a film and see it deliver. And I think we have all of that with Nosferatu. So I am heading out to the theater shortly, but I wanted to just give my thoughts before I head out. Absolutely make sure to keep an eye on my channel, because once I return from the theater, so this is my film preview, which I call my PreCaution, my film reaction fresh from the theater. I will be back live on the camera, with the mic, to give my reaction to the film fresh from the theater, and that will be my Nosferatu Aftershock. So be on the lookout for that. I've been Inkarnate, reminding you, I ain't just a big deal, I'm the real deal. If you're resigned to your fate, time to subscribe to your fears.